chills run down your spine as you finally come face to face with the dragon that has been terrorizing Korthos. Even at rest, it is a truly awesome beast.
What is up, people? Van from the Vaniverse Gaming channel here, bringing you another review video. Today's video is going to be a little bit different as I'm reviewing a game that came out in 2006, and that game is Dungeons & Dragons Online, or DDO. Now, a lot of you are probably wondering why I'm doing a review on a game from 15 years ago, and I actually have three really good reasons. And my first reason being is I've really enjoyed Dungeons & Dragons Online when it came out, and over the last 15 years, when I've been bored or got the urge to play D&D again, I've always logged into this. And just recently, they came out with a new update where a lot of the stuff that was behind paywalls is now free to play if you put in a specific code. And so I thought I'd jump into the game and just play it again because I always remember enjoying it. And so that led me to think, you know, maybe there's people out there that would like to know how this game is stacking up 15 years later. And do they want to get back in and play it? Or for the people who've never heard of it because it's 15 years old, maybe they see a game that they might actually enjoy. So that's number two. And number three is I was very excited for Solasta to come out. I actually got into 5e D&D with my family. I ended up now becoming a DM and the whole thing. And so I've always been looking for a way to incorporate my love for Dungeons & Dragons into my YouTube channel. So I thought this would be a great video to start with to get a playlist going for Dungeons & Dragons content for the future. And hopefully some people who enjoy Dungeons & Dragons will also watch my channel, as well as the people who enjoy my review videos and just gameplay for video games altogether. So with that being said, here's my review of Dungeons & Dragons Online. So first, for people who don't know what Dungeons & Dragons Online is, it came out in 2006 as a MMORPG, and it's based on the 3.5 D&D rule set, and it's set in the Eberron world. Now, a lot of people who are familiar with D&D are probably more familiar with Dragonlance or definitely Forgotten Realms. But to me, this world is the one that's famous for the Warforged race, which is really actually quite fun even in 5e. And so that's kind of where this world sits in the whole D&D world. On top of that, it is also a free-to-play game, but has a buy model where you can purchase different packs, one-time purchase, which is buy to play. And then also it has a VIP situation where you can do a monthly subscription fee. So if you go the VIP route, you pay like $10 a month, and then you get access to all the content, and you also earn some of the currency needed to buy the different packs. So instead of spending real-life money, you're actually earning it through playing as a VIP so you can buy the packs. So that is kind of how the model works. 3.5 rule set, free to play. Now, it's also a hub-based game. So you get through a tutorial. There's kind of an area where there's some small quests. But the whole game is based on these hubs, either small towns or cities. And then from those hub cities, that's where all your auction house and your mail and your bank and all that is going to be, all your vendors. And then you just access different quests in different areas that you can quest in from that main hub. Now, on a free-to-play model, you have access to a large amount of different quests and things that you can do. But if you're playing free-to-play, there's a good chance that you might have to play the same content over and over again to get enough experience points so that you can make it up through the levels. I have not played past level 20. I think it goes to 40, but back when I did play and got to a level 20, I did it all on a free-to-play account. I think there was one time where I might have spent some gold or some coins and unlocked like a certain area, but I think it cost me like $15 or something. They have lots of sales that go on where they like discount different areas 50, 75%. So you can really get into this game, play it mostly free-to-play, and then buy different packs you want for a small amount of money, or go on a VIP for a couple months and then earn 500 coins a month, and then once your VIP is over, you can just purchase the ones that you want. So there's a lot of options with that, and some of the pros of this game are as follows. The narration and kind of how the quests are laid out are super fun. They have all different lengths. You can have short, you can have medium, you can have long, very long, and then they have different versions. Like you have quests where you have to find different puzzles, or you have to defend a box from things breaking it, and if you don't do it, it's going to get broken and you fail the quest. You have to ones where maybe you have to sneak through an area and get to certain points without something seeing you, or without killing so many creatures. And then you have ones where it's just sheer, you go in here and you just kill everything. And they have indoor and outdoor zones, so you have like the classic dungeon, you have the cave system, or what you're seeing now, and then you even have outside areas where you're kind of going through and killing like 100 orcs and earning certain things. So there's a lot of variety to the different quests that are available, which makes it a lot of fun. On top of that, variety, the dungeons and all of that, another great thing is the character leveling. It levels very slow. It's not like a 5e where you level up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have sub-levels in between. So you're level 1, and then you get level 1.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and then you hit level 2. So all of those in the middle levels are mainly advancement points where you get different points you can put into the different class abilities, race abilities, that kind of thing. And then at the main levels, like level 2, 3, and 4, you can then take additional levels in specific classes. So you could go a Ranger 2, or then you could really multi-class. Now I think for a lot of you who know 3.5, the multi-class option is super fun. Like, I think I had a multi-class Ranger, Rogue, Fighter, or something like that. And you can really get into some cool stuff. And so for a lot of those theory crafters that like to build a certain class that they're looking for, or character, this game really allows you to do that. I used to always enjoy like finding a character in a book that I really liked, and then building out that character in D&D the way that I thought they would be, and then playing through the game as that character, which was super fun. So that's another really fun thing and great thing about Dungeons & Dragons Online. And another one is going to be the loot system. There is so many different swords and axes and bows and fire damage and acid damage and holy damage, and do more damage to chaotic, and there's just so many different weapon options and the different abilities and different resistances that you can really build a bunch of weapon sets to combat pretty much everything in the game, because the game is just like D&D where things have certain immunities and resistances and you have to have a way around it. At the same time, there's a lot of different potions and scrolls you can pick up to help with your resistances or give you certain spells or things like that. As you play through the missions, it's not one of those things where you can just kind of stop and rest wherever you want. There are different rest shrines throughout the game. And so when you're in a mission, you can always leave the mission and go back, but your XP gets kind of reduced if you do that. So there's only so many points within each mission where you can actually stop and rest and get your health back and your mana back for your spells. And so you have to be kind of cognizant of how often you use them. And so there's some strategy to it. And there's also resurrection shrines too. So if somebody dies, you actually can resurrect their body at a resurrection shrine. And so there's a lot of fun in that portion of the game. Now, on the negative side is probably 3 that are very glaring. One, as a free-to-play model, you lose a lot of the perks, right? You don't get as many bags, you don't get as much bank space, you can't send as many letters, you can't send, or mail, I guess, if you're trying to send stuff between characters. You can't put on as many auctions when you want to sell stuff on the auction house, so there's some limitations there. A lot of the game you can actually grind for faction and stuff that allows you to get bags and bank space, and so it's not a terrible thing, but it just is so much easier to be a VIP and just have a monthly subscription than it is to be free to play. So in addition to that, if you're free to play, there's not a lot of content, so if you're only doing free to play content, there's a good chance you're going to be replaying specific quests and missions in order to earn enough faction or in order to earn enough XP to level you up in the game. Another one of the negatives is the graphics. This is from 2006, and so if you're used to some much nicer graphics, you're not going to get that with this game. Some people, that's a deal breaker. Others, they're not as keen on the graphics. For me, graphics isn't a big deal. I'm more about the gameplay and the combat. Now, that is where I think it's a deal breaker for me. The combat in this game is very difficult, because it's kind of a hybrid between like your tab target, but not really. So it's an action combat game where you're firing arrows and you're moving as you fire. But when you do that, it doesn't really shoot where you want it to. It kind of just like highlights what it wants, and it doesn't register really well. So when you like fire a bow, you like hear the sound, and then you wait, and then you hear nothing, you go and you shoot another one, and all of a sudden you hear the and they both all of a sudden show they hit. So there's a lot of delay between your attacks and the register of the noise and on the screen that you're actually doing damage. So when you get into melee combat and you're fighting 5 or 6 guys, you really don't know when you're hitting, when you're not, when they're hitting you and when they're not. And so you just kind of like see your health bar going down, but you're not really sure why. And so I think that is probably the biggest negative of this game, is the combat. So with all that being said, for a game that is from 15 years ago, what they're giving you now for free content, the fact that there are still probably 3,000 active players on this game at any given day. There's several servers, but it feels alive. You can get into guilds right away. You can get into groups pretty often. You see people running around. And so if you're looking for a game and you can avoid the issue with the graphics, and you can avoid the issue with the combat, and you just want a game where you can be a character and role play as something from a book, and you want to level them up, and you want to experience different quests and try different things, and just have a social experience with different guilds and people, this is a fantastic game for that. If you're hung up on graphics, you're hung up on combat, or you're looking for something that is a little bit more tactical, or maybe a little bit better rule set, more closer to 5e, this is probably not the game for you. But I've probably put in 30 or 40 hours in this game since I've come back to it. And in the 30 or 40 hours, I've had a lot of fun. I played a lot of the free content that I've already played before, which was kind of boring to me. But then there was a lot of new content that was unlocked with those codes that I got to play that was actually a super amount of fun. And so I really got back into it, but after putting in 30 or 40 hours, I just really couldn't get past the combat. That's what did it in for me. I'm just such a huge combat guy that not seeing my attacks hit and the delay in my attacks, it just was too much for me to want to continue playing the game. But for me, it could be a different experience than what other people will experience. So I recommend at least giving it a try. It's free to play. Load it up and see what you think. And I'd love to know your comments below of what you think about the game, what you think about this video, and also if you really are interested in D&D content on my channel. So this is Van from the Vaniverse Gaming channel. I appreciate you watching. Thanks as always, and peace out.